LOL. So we've got a little something going on here amongst the crew. Dominique, what's the deal?
I just want to know what you think face beat means. So, let's clear it out and pass it back to Mike Greenberg. Okay. What do you believe that it means for one to have one's face beat?
I'm going to tell you right now. I have no idea. I have no earthly idea what that meant. I saw the tweet, and I looked up into this room. Let me add, I looked up in the room and I said, what does he mean by face beat? And I did not get an answer. So I can tell you right now, there's no one in this room who knows what it means either.
This is face beat, Mike.
Okay.
This is face beat. It's just a lot of application.
There you go. There you go.
Tons.
There you go.
Think Kardashians.
Okay.
Think that kind of look. Just tons of it. But you boys all sound so bougie right now. Oh, we don't have professional makeup artists.
I miss it.
What? Listen to yourself.
I miss it. It was good.
I'm the woman
I used to be so much handsomer.
I'm the one who needs it.
No.
I really have no idea how to segue that into Carson Wentz, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here we go. Carson Wentz
his face beat too.
is looking to put some makeup on the
He's getting a makeover.
bad ending to his career in Philadelphia. Looking to turn over a new leaf. After being traded to Indy, he was benched in favor of Jalen Hurts in Week 13 and never saw the field again for the Eagles. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, he reflected on how he got here. He said, I even go back to 17. Okay, why was that successful? Why was I successful, injury aside? Every year, you go back and, of course, you look at the bad. Why was that an interception? Why did I miss that throw? Why did I miss that read? So I've got 5 years worth now of understanding the good, the bad, the ugly, and trying to fine-tune, knowing, okay, these are my weaknesses. Maybe they reared their head too much in this game. Kind of an interesting thought. And I guess I like that he's saying that. So it brings to mind a variety of questions. And Dominique, I will start with you on this one. Are we going to see 2017 Carson Wentz again this season in Indy?
Absolutely not. I mean, that was an encouraging quote, but I don't think that Indy wants 2017 Carson Wentz. They don't want the game on his shoulders necessarily. They want him to manage the situation and make good decisions. They were a good team last year with much diminished Phillip Rivers. So if they can get something close to that or a little bit better than that, I think they like what they're getting. But 2017 Carson Wentz was the aberration. I don't think we see that particular season come together again.
So I guess, Damien Woody, it's one thing if they don't want him to be that again, but it's another thing I keep wondering. It's in him, right? And we've seen it, and we've seen it in a situation that wasn't that different from this, at least to the extent that it's the same coach, and we would think a similar system. So if he can't recapture that, I guess I would ask the question, why not?
Well, listen, that's what the Indianapolis Colts are trading for. You got to remember, Frank Reich was the guy that was a play caller. He was in that room. He's the guy that told Chris Ballard, look, I have faith that I can pull out the most from Carson Wentz. And listen, if he's not 2017 Carson Wentz, I don't think they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think they beat the Cleveland Browns. I think the expectation is Frank Reich is saying, I can get that out of him. That's why they made the trade with the Indianapolis Colts. They have a great roster around him. If they can get him to play like he did in 2017, the Colts will be squarely in the mix with the AFC title contenders.
I agree with that. And I don't know if they can do it or not, but I believe they can do it. Diana, what do people around the sport believe?
Yeah, Greeny, Frank Reich runs an outstanding program in Indy already. He has so much respect from so many teams around the league about what he's been able to do with this Colts team. That being said, it's all about mission build up Carson, right? Get the confidence back up. It's the mental hurdles that they think held him back. So how does the rest of that division look at Carson Wentz and this Indy team? There's a lot of respect. Most have the same theory. Most players that I've been talking to on the defensive side of the ball about how they view Carson, especially when that trade originally went down, I was getting the same type of reaction. Get his head straight, and they could be really dangerous. They could win the division if Carson Wentz can get back to it. So maybe they don't want that 2017 Carson, but man, they would love some of that swag he had.
Go ahead, Dominique.
I mean, Diana said it. Get his head straight? Like, that seems like an impossible job. Frank Reich, the king of comebacks, the great Terp, like, he is a phenomenal football coach and wants a really good quarterback. But the idea that he can get somebody's head straight is different. The 2017 season was a rookie year without, or early in his career with limited baggage. Like, this is a whole different, it feels to me like this is a whole different ask. To build up Carson Wentz back then is different than to rebuild the Carson Wentz that we're seeing today.
Clearly. And the question is, can a player lose his confidence and lose his way to the degree that this player has and recapture it? Do you think he can? Damien Woody, I'll ask you directly. Can he do it? Can Frank Reich get that out of Carson Wentz? Because I agree with you. If he does, then this is a legit Super Bowl contender. D. Wood.
I do think he can. I think for a couple reasons. Number one, he's not in that media market in Philadelphia where it's just, you know, you're constantly on pins and needles. And then number two, I think the roster around him will help him in that transition. While I agree from the neck up is where the most work needs to happen, they have a ton of pieces around him that can help him get there.
All right, he spent a lot of his time in Philadelphia getting his face beat in a variety of different ways. We'll see if that turns around now in Indianapolis. All right, we'll take a short time out. We have a lot more to do on this program. And by the way, don't forget tonight, we've got baseball, game 2 of a 4-game set. Cubs and the NL East leading Mets at Citi Field. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern. D. Wood, how about you?
Greeny, I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. And I know Christian McCaffrey got injured last year, but it doesn't deny his greatness and what he's been able to do down in Carolina. I mean, listen, you could talk about a guy who can run it between the tackles, can run it outside. He can catch routes out of the backfield. You can split him in the slot, split him outside. The guy can literally do everything. He stuffs the stat sheet. If I'm taking a running back, give me the guy in Christian McCaffrey.
All right, fair enough. The only thing I can say about that is Diana's guy could bench press both of your guys at the same time if he wanted to.
Too bad it's not a weightlifting competition.
And Damien Woody.
Right, we not weightlifting. Well, I don't know about
football
that.
Games.
I don't know about
stay
that.
with me, guys. Much more football as we go by. This is a storyline worth watching. It has been a struggle for the Yankees this season, especially of late. Their offense is terrible. They've hit into 64 double plays this year. That's the most of any team in the majors. Their base running has been terrible. They've made 31 outs on the bases. That's the most in the sport. And aside from Garrett Cole, it's been a struggle to find any consistency from their starting rotation. Cole's ERA is 2.31. The rest of them combined are 4.37. Yankees are also struggling with teams in the division, going a combined 8-17 in 25 games against the Blue Jays, Rays, and Red Sox. Their team batting average is under 200 in those games. And so let's dive into that and much more with the man who has been on the call for the Yankees for so many years now. The voice of Yankee baseball is Michael Kay, who is also the author of a brand new book called Center Stage, My Most Fascinating Interviews from A-Rod to Jay-Z, a compilation of all the interviews he's done for that show on the Yes Network. And here he is, Michael Kay, who joins us. I got myself a copy of the book, which I'm very excited about, and we will get to that in a minute. But Michael, and the Yankees are 9 games out of first place. Their offense is historically bad. How would you describe the trouble they are in as we sit here in mid-June?
Well, it's mid-June, and they start a series tonight in Buffalo against Toronto, and this 3-game series is pretty important. I mean, when you're looking at 8.5 games out as of yesterday on June 14th, that's not very good. A lot of people ask me, can they make the playoffs? And I say definitely, but they've got to play to the back of their baseball card. Their offense has been so bad, except for Aaron Judge. He's the only one who is actually performing to the way he should perform. Most of the other players are really below their numbers. You mentioned the double plays they've hit into. They've also made 31 outs on the base paths, and the average major league team makes 18 outs on the base path. So we've seen them go to third from second base when the ball hit in front of them at least 4 times. Just fundamentally, they have not been playing very good baseball. A lot of people say, well, they look asleep. Well, they look asleep because they're not scoring runs. And when you don't score runs, you look somewhat somnolent when you're playing baseball. They've got to snap out of it. They've got to get the offense and the pitching going at the same time because the pitching carried them for the first 2 months of the season. Now the offense has been a little bit better of late, but the pitching hasn't been so good.
All right, well, and that brings us to the next topic here. And Michael is also the host of the afternoon radio show, the Michael Kay Show on ESPN Radio in New York. And this has been a huge topic, and last night, huge news from our Jeff Passan. The expectation is today it will be announced that baseball pitchers will be suspended if they are caught with any foreign substance for 10 days to help curtail the widespread use of grip enhancers by pitchers around the league. And of course, a lot of that conversation began, at least on the national level, with that very uncomfortable press conference that the Yankees' Garrett Cole had last week. Our mutual friend Hembo got me this. This is Spider Tack. This is the substance that everyone has been talking about. Michael, what is your expectation for the impact of this, baseball cracking down on this starting now?
Well, I think that you're going to see offense start to explode. I mean, the offense was at historically low numbers for 2 months, and that's why they're enacting this in the middle of the season, which I think is ill-advised, because although some people weaponized the sticky stuff to increase spin rate, obviously